Hello, yeah, my name is Raymond. I'm one of the pilots of the Flying Bulls, and together with Frederick Handelman, we'll show you about how to prepare the aircraft, start up the engines, and starting a flight into the beautiful landscape around Salzburg. We are here at the Hangar 7 in Austria. That's actually our base, where the airplane is getting prepared for the mission. So our great team of the ground ops is just caring about it. So they are getting it out of the warm hangar. Actually now during the winter the temperature is quite cold, so we try to keep her out at the minimum time to not cold soak her, which means it's getting torn out. Now they're refueling it, and within 15-20 minutes we are able to start up the engines, which we will show you a little bit later. A little bit history about our B-25. Our B-25 was kind of ordered in 1944, so it has a 1944 number. It got delivered in 1945, so actually it came a little bit late for the war, so it was never put in service in World War II. However, it was converted at that time already into an airplane to try some electronic landings. So it was one of the first airplanes which was equipped with an autopilot, and they tried to do automatic landings. This was in the late 40s, starting of the 50s. And I think it was in the late 50s it was put out of service of the US Air Force. And it was converted at that time into a water bomber. Was flying around all over the States. Was used for firefighting. So this is another aspect. So from a bomber into a firefighter. So it served for helping people, and we are proud about this chapter of our B-25. So in the late 70s, our B-25 was flown over to Kansas and was flying at quite a couple of air shows as Fairfax Ghost at that time. So it was a private club, and they were very proud about this airplane, and it served in Kansas until the late 90s. And in the late 90s, the decision was made, because it went for sale at that time by Red Bull, to buy a wonderful, beautiful airplane which is capable of getting some people on board, flying around, going to air shows. And that's when the decision was taken at the time by CG Angara to buy this B-25. It was flown over, actually before it was restored with SL Aviation in Texas. And after restoration in '97, it was flown over to Innsbruck at the time. At this late 90s, actually the hangar was not existent at the Salzburg airport, so everything was a little bit smaller than it is today, so we had a couple of airplanes at Innsbruck staying in that hangar. That was the B-25, the Corsair, the T-28, and the Grumman Widgeon. So we joined this fleet of small collection of historic airplanes at that time. Lots have changed. The collection of the Flying Bulls got much bigger. We got this hangar 7, hangar 8, and now of course it's still part of the fleet.
Hinflugroute, die ist so, und das ist die für zurück.
Okay.
So, das S war Nemal, haben wir gesagt, ne? LOWS. Nemal.
Schrift auf habe ich rausgenommen.
kannst schon mal die Power on und Avionics, weil dann können wir da.
Ja. Machst du das Einzelradio, ne?
Ja.
Lima to Kilo.
So now we're getting prepared to start up the engine. Actually, the engines. There's always a kind of decision if you're starting left first or right first. So normally it doesn't care which one you're starting first. Normally, as the flying pilot is sitting on left side, you tend to start the left engine first because you have the better overview. Now we see actually an IFR flight, so under instrument flight rules, so we are programming the flight path into our GPS system. Normally, if we are just flying VFR, we'll do it after the engine start. However, this time we are getting the clearance, putting everything in.
So let's look sales again. That's November 6123 Charlie, information India. We are ready for startup and clearance students.
And now it's getting time here to start up. So first we are checking if all the hatches are closed. We are running through the checklist, which you're going to hear just now.
Und dann gehen wir danach gehen wir mal alles ein. Ne?
Liste ist da.
Ja, genau. Dann einmal die Cockpit Preparation.
Ja, gehen wir alles durch. Outside check,
It's completed.
nose wheel, HBI engaged.
Cockpit.
Landing gear pins sind heraus, Oxygen pressure.
Brauchen wir nicht.
Nicht. Main hydraulic pressure.
Ist check,
schaut.
also ist da, aber wir haben Brake Pressures auf jeden Fall.
Normal emergency brake pressure.
Ist
Checked.
checked.
Hydraulic level.
Check.
Durchgeschaut, gell. Fuel crossfit
Off.
ist off. Landing gear emergency pump.
Stowed.
Emergency hydraulic selector.
Normal.
Emergency brake levers.
Down.
Superchargers.
Low.
Carb filter.
Normal.
Carb air.
Cold.
Transfer pumps. Brauchen wir nicht. Boost pumps.
Off.
Und Fuel shut off.
Is open here. Du hast wahrscheinlich unten geguckt. Ne?
Habe ich geschaut, ja.
2 times open.
Bomb clip.
Is removed.
Das habe ich gemacht, ja. Hatches.
All
Ich
closed.
habe hinten geschaut. CPs.
Are all in except all shut off.
Gastlock.
Is released.
Parking brake.
Set.
Und brake pressure.
Set.
Gut aus. Trims.
So, da haben wir 0 and 0. Set.
Landing gear.
Is down and latched.
Flaps.
Are neutral at least. Rest schauen wir uns
Ja, Flaps, also Cowl Flaps. Open my side.
an. Open my side.
Mixture.
Is I'll cut off.
Props.
Full forward.
Throttles.
Cracked open.
Ignition master.
Is on.
Ignition.
Off.
Multimeters.
1018
Check
1430.
14, ja. Manifold pressure.
For me was 29.
Avionics
Yeah,
and
28.
switches.
All off.
An engine start would be next. Schauen, ob der läuft. Ja. Batteries.
So, check.
Voltage is good. 20
Now what you see is the fire test. That's quite important to do.
fire switch.
There are 2 compartments.
Test switch.
The light's now just coming on, so which says this is working. Normal, if you see a light during flight, you might get a little bit nervous, but you have to follow then the checklist and just go through the procedure. There's a fire extinguisher on each side. You will use them, so in case you really have a fire, but you have to test the system, of course.
Open.
Now we continue on the checklist.
Free oil.
Done.
Beacon.
On.
And the boost pumps. Starten
To
wir
go.
zwar an,
Genau.
oder?
2. Okay. Wir haben.
So now we are going to start the right engine first. Very important to get a signal by the ground crew.
That's it. Clear.
Clear.
Turning.
It's turning, and now just enjoy the beautiful sound of those right engine.
50.
Now it's time to check some items. So most important is the oil pressure. You're sure there's some oil pressure there, and as well as the hydraulic system. Now we are going to start the left engine. You're counting the props. As it's turning on number 3 prop, you're engaging the primer, which is getting some fuel into the cylinders. At 6, you're engaging the ignition, which means now the engine should come running. So everything is running. We have hydraulic pressure, which means we are sure about the brakes. Ground tops could leave with their fire extinguisher, which is always present just in case. And now we're getting ready for taxi. It's a beautiful shape. You could see that gull wing pattern of this B-25. We are adjusting a little bit the mixture, especially if it's cold. It's always running a little bit rich, and you're manually leaning the mixture, which normally makes the engines run a little bit smoother. Engaging the nav aids, the GPS. Now we are putting the flight plan in. As this time we are doing a check ride. So Frederik Handelmann, my colleague, he's the flying pilot, and I'm a kind of check pilot, just checking him on different procedures, which means this time we are doing engine out procedures. So we're reducing sometimes the power on an engine to simulate an engine failure, and just running through the checklist and through the procedures which you normally do on an engine failure. Normally this is done on a simulator. Of course, for a B-25 there's no simulator existent, so we have to do it on the airplane, which is always a challenge, and it's very important to train it from time to time and to be really sharp on those procedures once a real engine failure or fire should happen. So Frederik is getting ready, so he's just doing the briefing on the departure, and I'm switching the headphones on and running through the checklist again. Now it seems we have hydraulic pressure, everything is running smooth. Signal to remove the chocks, and we're ready to taxi. So Frederik is checking the flight controls, the radars. There we go. It's a beautiful shape. It's always nice. The B-25 is not easy to taxi because the nose wheel is not steerable. So you always have to use differential power and differential braking. And the brakes are on the main hydraulic system, so there's always a little bit of time lag. So be very cautious about getting into the brakes. You see Frederik is doing a perfect taxiing, completely lined up. And now it's time to just taxi down to the holding point. Now it's taking some time, of course, until the engines are warm enough. It's a chilly day, so we have around minus 10 degrees centigrade at Salzburg. And so it's taking at least 5 to 7, 8 minutes until the engines are warm enough. Then we have checked all the parameters and now we are already lining up on the runway to start the takeoff. We have done a briefing about this. And now if we are advancing the throttle, it's getting extremely loud. So we are relying on hand signals now for gear up and flaps up. So airplane is accelerating, it's getting airborne. First thing is to gain a little bit more speed and retract the gear, which you can see now. Speed is going to increase. Very important is the critical speed. Anything before the critical speed, the airplane is uncontrollable. If you have an engine failure, the other engine will turn you around in a direction you don't want to go. So the only solution to that is to do a re-landing. Yeah. However, so once you're passing 126 knots, you're safe, even if you should have an engine failure. You continue the takeoff. And now we have a certain altitude, we are reducing the power to METO power, which is maximum power except takeoff. First turn to the right, as this is an IFR procedure, and reducing the power to climb power, which is this airplane 34 inches and 2,400 RPM. See beautiful weather. First procedure turn to the right. We are flying a little bit northeast of Salzburg into the beautiful landscape around Salzburg. Yeah, so Frederick and me were very happy to have had you on board. I hope you enjoyed this startup procedure and the takeoff by our beautiful P25. And we are very much looking forward to have you on board soon again. And until then, bye for now.